Hey everybody, this is Allie from Allie Loops Crochet, and I'm so excited to teach you how to make your very own little candy corn. Now, if this is your first time crocheting, I want you to know that it's not going to be easy. You're definitely going to have some times where you're going to have to pause it or rewind it or slow it down or however you need to. Make sure you take it at your own pace, but it is so going to be worth it, I promise you. So we're going to need a 6.5mm hook, some scissors, some safety eyes. I'm using some 12mm safety eyes, a needle, a stitch marker, a piece of thin black yarn for the face, and some toy stuffing. And this is, I'm using blanket yarn today. Traditional colors would be white, orange, and yellow. Because white is a little bit hard to see on the video, I'm actually going to start with yellow, go orange, and go brown. So let's get started. So when I hold a crochet hook, I'm going to hold it in my dominant hand. I can either hold it like a knife or I could hold it like a pencil. You should definitely try out both ways and see which way feels better for you. So we're going to start with our yarn by making a slip knot. I like to think of it as just making a knot in the yarn like this, but instead of pulling the end all the way through, I am going to make a knot and pull on this loop to tighten it on this loop, and this is the working yarn on this side. And if you've done the slip knot right, you should be able to tighten it or loosen it just by pulling on the end or on the loop itself. So this is the loop that we are going to put on our hook. You want it just loose enough that your hook can fit nicely in and out of it, so you can slip it through when you are actually pulling the yarn through it. So I'm holding my hook right now like a knife, and I'm going to show you how I hold my yarn. I'm going to grab it with these 3 fingers underneath the yarn, go over it and underneath, and then I'm going to hold on to that tight and then wrap my finger under the yarn this way. The most important thing about holding the yarn is the tension that you have between the hook and your fingers. This needs to be tight right here, but it shouldn't be too tight that you can't just slide the yarn over your finger. So there is no correct way of holding the yarn. This is just how I do it. So if you feel like you can get better tension a different way, I know a lot of people will wrap it around their pinky first and then grab it and put it underneath. Again, the most important part is this tension. So now would be a good time to pause the video and play around with the yarn and just feel how you want to hold the yarn yourself. When you feel like you have a really good hold on the yarn, practice sliding that yarn over your finger and make sure that you have that tension correct. And then the next step will be to use your middle finger and your thumb to pinch this little knot, because just like we need tension here, we need tension going down this way so that your hook can slide through correctly. Great, now we're going to make what we call a chain stitch. So I'm going to do that by grabbing this yarn and pulling it through the little loop right here. And I'll make sure to do this again a little bit slower, but we're going to do 2 chain stitches. And that's what it's going to look like in the end. Here's the first chain stitch and here's the second chain stitch. Let me take that out so that you can see that again a little bit slower. So I have this slip knot. I'm holding my hook correctly. I grab my yarn, I wrap my finger around it. I have that tension there, and I have the tension here. And I'm going to wrap my hook around the yarn. A lot of people try doing it around this way, and that's fine as long as you can get the yarn through the loop just fine. But I'm going to go in front of the yarn and wrap it around the yarn and grab it with this little lip of the hook. Notice how when I'm going through the yarn, the lip is pointed down, or it's pointed toward the little knot that we made at the beginning. So I'm going to turn that lip down so that it'll fit through the loop and it won't catch this loop. I'm only holding onto this yarn with the hook. And I pull it through, and I'm going to pull up, and now you've made a new loop on this hook. This should be just as big as the first loop, not too loose, not too tight, so you can just fit this hook right through there. Okay, let me do that again. I'm going to grab my hook, grab my yarn, wrap my finger around, pinch. Instead of pinching the knot, I'm going to pinch that first chain that I made, because it's really a lot easier to control if you get nice and close to that loop that you have. So I'm going to loop my hook around the yarn. This is called a yarn over, and I'm going to grab it and pull through this loop, making sure that the lip will actually fit through and not grab any of this loop. And I'm going to pull through and pull up. So this loop is just as big as the other two loops that I made. Now I have one chain stitch. This is actually, it looks a lot like a V, and the second chain stitch, that's the next V. Let me take this hook out so that you can see that a little closer. Here, I'm going to make this bigger so it doesn't unravel at all. So the first chain stitch is right here, this V, and then the second chain stitch is this V. And if you've made your loops that were around your hook correctly, then they should be about the same size. So next we are going to make a round of 6 single crochet. Now single crochet is a lot more complicated than the chain stitch that we made, so bear with me. So I have this candy corn right here that I'm going to show you exactly how I did this, but this is a round of 6 single crochet right here, and then the next round actually has 9 in it, and the next round has 12 in it, and we're just going to do a little spiral all around till we get to the bottom. I'm going to make that very first round by doing 6 single crochet, and if you make them all into this chain stitch, it should create a circle that we call the first round. So I'm going to do that by grabbing my yarn, grabbing the hook, pinching right on this knot, because that's where I'm going to be working, is right over that knot in that first chain. And I'm going to insert my hook into that first chain that you made. Another way of saying it is the second chain from the hook, but it's the first chain that you originally made. So you insert your hook, you're going to yarn over or grab the yarn and pull it through that chain. So now you have 2 loops on your hook, and to finish the single crochet, we're going to yarn over and pull it through both loops on the hook. Notice how I am turning my lip of my hook down again so I don't grab either of these loops. I only am pulling this through the loops. And then I'm going to pull up so that I have a good size loop on my hook now. This is your first single crochet. It's very similar to the chain stitch on top in that it has this little V up here, but now we have a post that we made into that chain stitch at the beginning. I'm going to take my stitch marker and I'm going to put it through this part, this front part of the V. That's going to be called the front loop, and that way I know where my first single crochet is. So when I get back to this, I know that I shouldn't be crocheting on top of that. So I'm going to show you that again. The steps of the single crochet are insert hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over again, and pull through both loops. So I'll show you that with my second single crochet. We are working into the same exact spot. This hole will probably get a lot bigger as we are working into it, but that is the first chain stitch that we made. I'm going to insert my hook right in there, yarn over, so grab the yarn, turn the hook so that it fits through, pull through that chain stitch, yarn over, and pull through both of these and pull up on that yarn. So now I have 1 single crochet and I have 2 single crochets. I'll make my third one now by inserting right in that same spot, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both. And once you get used to the single crochet thing, it gets a lot easier because that's just all we're doing. We're just changing how where we place the single crochets. So that's my third one. I'm going to do number 4, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both. See how my hook actually got stuck there because I didn't have the lip in the right spot. So I needed to adjust and get it right in the right spot so it'll just pull through there. Now number 5, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both. And 6. There we go. And now you should be able to count backwards or forwards. There should be 6. I'm going to pull this. So you should be able to count. It's going to be a little bit hard to see on the camera because they're light, but I have a little V here. That's number 6, 5, 4. You can also pull it up and see it. The 2 loops there. 3 and 2 and 1 with my stitch marker in there. And most likely you will have this little hole in the middle there. Sometimes, depending on what yarn you're using and how tight you're doing it, you could pull on this end here and make it a little bit tighter because that is the original slip knot that we made. So let's see if it goes tighter. There you go, it worked. If not, it's totally fine to have a little hole there. Alright, so now I have my very first round of 6 single crochet. This is the V's right here from this angle and the posts that all go into that same hole right there. I'm going to switch my stitch marker to the last stitch that I made. I'm just going to put it in the front loop, that front part of that V there, just so that I can tell where I am for the next round. Great, so now we're going to go on to our second round, which has 9 single crochet in it. When I single crochet on the second round, instead of single crocheting into this hole right here, we're going to single crochet into the single crochets that we already made. So when I put my hook in, I'm going to make it the right size there so that it'll slip through right. I'm going to actually insert my hook into the single crochet that I made, the very first single crochet that I made. So there are 2 sides of this, 2 sides of that V. I'm going to put it right underneath that V and put it through both sides there. And that is my insert for my single crochet. I'm going to grab my yarn again and I'm going to hold it nice and close. So I inserted, yarn over, pull it through. So I have 2 on there, and then yarn over and pull it through both. And there is my first single crochet of the second round. Okay, now we're going to go into the next single crochet, so it's kind of hard to see, but this is where I inserted my hook the first time on that first single crochet, and then the second single crochet from the first round is right here. So that's where I'm going to insert my hook on the second time. But since this round has 9 instead of 6, we're actually going to go 2 single crochet in every other single crochet. So it's going to be 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet in this one, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet. That's called an increase. So I just did a single crochet. Now I'm going to do an increase by doing 2 single crochet into this second stitch. So I'm going to insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both. That's my first single crochet. Now I'm going to do the second one, or the third one of the round, the second one of this increase, right into that same exact spot that I just inserted my hook, right here. So insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through both. So if you can see, this is the first single crochet right here, and then these two right here were in the same exact spot. So now I'm going to do 1 in the next single crochet, 1, single crochet, and then 2 single crochet right into here. 1, 2. And then I'm going to do 1 in the next one. And now 2 in this last single crochet, which should be the single crochet that it has the stitch marker in it. So I'm putting it in the same exact spot that I put the stitch marker, but I'm going through both of the loops here. 1, 2. And that is round 2. Now is a good time to check to make sure that you're not inside out. Sometimes it will go naturally this way, just as you're crocheting. Make sure that you are looking at it like this, where you're crocheting in the front of it and not in the back of it. Okay, so now we're going to do round 3, and we're going to keep doing a pattern of increases, but this time instead of doing 1 single crochet and then an increase, we're going to do 2 single crochets, so 1 single crochet here, 1 single crochet here, and then an increase over here. But before I get started on round 3, I'm going to move my stitch marker up to that last stitch that I just made, so I make sure that I end up in the right spot for the next round. Okay, now the pattern is single crochet, increase. So single crochet in this one, and then you go to the next stitch over here, do single crochet, and then go to the next stitch and do 2 single crochet. 1, 2, and then we're going to keep going with that pattern. So single crochet, increase, single crochet. I gotta make sure I'm in the right spot. Single crochet, and what's the next one? Increase, 1, 2, and then one last time, single crochet, and then an increase again, 1, and again I'm going to be doing the last stitch right in the same spot that I put my stitch marker in the last one, and then 2, and before I finish this one by pulling this all the way through, I'm actually going to cut this off and then change the color. So what I did on that last one, on the very last stitch, I inserted my hook, I yarn over it, and I pulled through. And before I pull through both of them, I'm going to change to orange. And the way I do that, I'm just going to fold this in half so that I can grab that just like a loop. There's no need to tie a knot in that at all. Grab that in half and grab the new yarn, the orange yarn, which should be the same if you're following the normal colors, and pull that through as if it were the end of that single crochet, and that way when you make your next single crochet, the top will be orange. Good, now that round should have, if you were to count it by the stitches up here, it should have 12 stitches in it. So now I'm going to move the stitch marker up to the last stitch in round 3, and we're going to continue on to round 4, which should have 15 stitches by the end of it. So this is a pattern. We're going to go single crochet, increase. So 3 single crochet and then an increase. So 1. It's totally okay if this first stitch in the different color ends up being a little bit bigger. You can actually pull this end and tighten it a little bit. So that's 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3, and then an increase. 1, 2, and then again 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, now move that stitch marker up to the next round. Okay, I'm going to pull up on this loop just a little bit so that I can put that aside, and I'm going to tie the two ends that I have together. Let me find the right ends. This was the starting end. I'm just going to tuck that in there. What we ended on was that color, that tail, and I'm going to tie those together just so they're secure, so we don't have any unwanted unraveling. And I'm going to tuck those two ends right in to there, and then we can continue. So we have a pattern of, basically we have 3 increases per round. We have, you can see it pretty well with the color change. There's 3 single crochet and then an increase right there where it has 2 in there. So if we kept going with this pattern where we have all of the single crochets and then the increase, then this right here would end up being very pointed, and we kind of want it to be more round instead of having 3 pointed parts. So I'm actually going to scatter the increases. So we're going to do a pattern of 2 single crochet, single crochet, then an increase, and then single crochet, and then same pattern, single crochet, increase, single crochet. So there's 6 in the pattern, 2 single crochet, an increase, and then 2 more single crochet. So 1, 2, let me move this over a bit, and then an increase, and then 2 more, 1, 2. There we go, that's the first pattern of 6, and then I'm going to do the next one, 2 single crochet, 1, 2, and then an increase, 2 in the same stitch, and then 2 more single crochet. And then the last pattern of 6 will be 2 single crochet, 1, 2, and then an increase, 1, 2 in the same stitch, and then 2 more single crochet, and then you should be right back at that stitch marker. Awesome. And now we're going to move that stitch marker up, and now this is going to be a pattern of 7 for this round. It's going to go back to the increase at the end of the pattern, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an increase with 2 in this stitch. So 5 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an increase, which makes 6 and 7. 1, 2. Good. Now 5 more single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an increase, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the increase should be same stitch as the stitch marker. 1, 2. Good. And then we're going to go on to our last round of orange. And we're going to stagger the increases again. We're going to do 1, 2, 3 single crochet and then an increase, and then 1, 2, 3 single crochet again. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5 in the same one. 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, increase, 4, not 4. We're going to do 3. 1, 2, 3. Or you could have counted that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So starting again, 1, 2, 3, increase, and then 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Good, and then the last round, last pattern of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the same stitch, and 6, 7, 8, and this is the last round of orange, so I'm actually not going to finish the single crochet. I'm just going to pull that through and then cut this off and change the color. Same exact way that I changed the color before. So I'm going to go to brown now. And I'm going to fold that in half so I have this end, and grab that end and pull it through to finish that single crochet. Good, and then we're going to keep going, and this is going to be a pattern of 9. So we're going to do 7 single crochet and then an increase. So 1, 2, remember you can pull this a little bit tighter if that first stitch ended up being too loose. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 and 9 both in the same stitch for an increase. Good, now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9 in the same one. If you guys get tired of me just counting out loud, you can mute the video. I don't mind at all. Not offended. I won't know. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 in the same stitch. We're looking pretty good. And the good news is, here, let me tie this off first. Tie those two ends together. Good news is that we are actually done with increases. The next round, you're just gonna do single crochet all the way around. So we should have 27 in this round, and we should have 27 in the next round as well. So we're just doing 1 single crochet into every stitch. And shame on me, I have not been using my stitch marker or moving it up. So this is what it's going to look like if you forget to move your stitch marker up. This is right here in that front loop there, but this one should be covering that front loop. So this is the last stitch in that round. This one right here is the last stitch of the next round, and then you should have one stitch on top of that. So that is the end of that round. I'm actually going to get rid of this stitch marker because my next round is not going to end up in the exact same place. We are doing pretty good. We actually only have one more round to crochet, and then we're going to do the face. But this round, it's a little bit tricky because instead of increases, we're going to do what's called a decrease because we need to close this hole up a bit. So to do a decrease, it's still going to be a single crochet, but we are going to use the first 2 single crochets, the next 2 single crochets to make 1 single crochet in this round. I'm going to do that by grabbing just the front loops. I don't know if you can see with this brown yarn, but there's a front loop and a back loop, that front part of the V and the back part of the V, or side part, or however you want to think about it. I'm just going to go into this front loop right here instead of both loops, just the front loop. And then, before I grab the yarn at all, I'm going to go through the front loop of the next stitch as well. So I grab both of those front loops, and now they're kind of connected. And now I'm going to make the single crochet. That was my inserting my hook by going through both of those front loops. Grab the yarn, pull it through both of those front loops. It might take a second to get it through both. And then yarn over and pull it through both. So that was still a single crochet, it just went through 2 stitches from the last round. Okay, I'm going to show you again. Insert hook by going through 2 front loops, and make sure when you go through the front loops you're not accidentally going through the front loop that you just went through. That is a little bit tricky sometimes. So insert, yarn over, pull it through the front loops, and then yarn over and pull it through both. Good. I'm going to do that decrease. I just did it twice. I'm going to do it 13 times total. So this is 3, insert into the front loops, yarn over, pull it through the front loops, yarn over, pull it through both. Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Anyway, when you make that 13th one, you're going to be pretty close to back to the front of the round or the end of the round. You just have 1 stitch left over that you didn't do anything with. Great. We are done with the crochet hook. How crazy is that? Good job, you made it this far. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut a longer tail off of this one because I'm going to use that to sew the hole together. So I need it to be pretty long. And I'm going to fasten that off by taking this loop that we just took the crochet hook out of and pulling it out. That way it won't unravel on you at all. Good, and now we get to make the face. So when I make my face, I'm going to take my safety eyes and I'm going to put them where I want, but I'm going to make sure this color changes that you can see right here where we changed the color. That's going to be in the back of the candy corn so that we won't see it when we look at the face. And I can put these wherever I want. Usually I put them about at this first round of the last color, and I put them about 4 visible stitches apart, give or take. Kind of depends on how you like your little face. It could be closer. Honestly, any of them would be cute. So make sure they're where you like them. I like them about this far apart because it gives me plenty of space to make a little smile right here and underneath it. So now I have the backs of my safety eye that I need to put on, and I'm going to put the back of this part of the safety eye through, if I can hold on to it, through the big part of this dome like this. And I'm gonna push on until I hear it snap a little bit. And do the same thing for the other one. And there we go, we got 2 safety eyes. And now I can make the smile. So I'm going to take the thin black yarn and a needle, thread the needle. And I'm going to start by imagining where my smile is going to go. I'm just going to make 2 lines to make a smile. I'm going to make a line here and make a line here. So I'm going to go to the top corner of the smile and go in, out through the inside. And I'm not going to pull this yarn all the way through. I'm going to leave a little tail out here so that I can tie the 2 ends together at the end. So I went through the top corner of the smile, and now I'm going to go to the bottom little point and put it back in here. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. Go out through the inside from the top corner and go back in through the bottom point. And if you want to, you can do that same exact thing again. I think I'm going to, because of the brown yarn, I want it to be a little bit thicker for my yarn. I might not like it and I might take it out. This is a part of crochet, making the face, that is actually kind of difficult sometimes, especially when you're sewing. You want to take your time and don't be afraid to take things out and redo it until you actually like it. It has taken a lot of practice to get to a point where I am okay with my faces, and I still end up spending hours on one face. Good. I kind of like that with the thicker smile. And I'm going to take this needle out, and I'm going to tie these 2 ends together. Oh, I put my needle through that yarn, so I got to pull it out of the middle of that other string. Okay, tie it together so it's nice and secure, so it's not going to go anywhere. And now you get to admire your cute little face. How cute. And I'm going to start stuffing. This is, again, by preference. You can stuff it however much you want, however little you want. If you stuff it more, it'll get stiffer. If you stuff it less, it'll be more squishy. I notice a lot of people like squishy, like it less stuff. Okay, so I have it to a place that I kind of like how squishy it is, and now I'm gonna sew it closed. I'm gonna probably end up putting a little bit more stuffing in right before I finish. But right now, for now, I'm just gonna start closing the hole. This is thicker, a little bit harder to get through the needle, but it works. Now I'm going to sew it closed by kind of just going through the front loops, kind of like we did with the decrease, sorry. So I'm like decreasing, but by sewing. So I'm going to go through these loops, but I'm just going to do the side of here this side and go through the front loops and then tighten it. I'm going to do about 4 or 5 on this side. Because I kind of want the candy corn to be a little bit flatter. I don't want it to just be round like this. So I'm going to do about 5 over here, and then I'm going to do the front loop over here, and then go back and forth, front loop over here, and then a front loop on this side. And sew those together like that for a little bit. Front loop over here, front loop over here, until I have about 4 or 5 on this side that I want to close up. Make sure that it's actually flat. So I'm going to actually take one more on this side before I go to the other side. Good, and then I'm going to double check before you finish up with all the holes. I'm going to put a little bit more stuffing in that last hole here because I need it to be a little bit firmer than that. I don't want it to lose its shape over time. Okay, that's good. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here that I did on this side by going through all of the front loops and just pulling it tight. There we go. And now it's all closed up and we have to tie this off and hide the end. I'm going to do that by pulling the needle over to a different spot in the brown, just to make sure I'm not putting it anywhere that'll come apart. And I'm going to tie a tiny little knot here. I'm going to find a spot, just make us. Sometimes you can find a little piece of yarn that's underneath. It's kind of hidden, but that may not be as hidden. But I'm going to pull that through until it's almost closed, and then put the yarn through so it kind of makes a knot through again, and make it as tiny, as inconspicuous as you possibly can. Nobody will notice that. And then I'll put my yarn back through the same exact spot to a different spot so that I can cut it off and the end will just be inside. And there we go. So notice how this chill pill actually has a little bit different shape than this one does. So I probably would have, if I were to do it again, I would have put the face a little bit higher. But I don't think it's cute. Everybody does it a little different. I actually did this. I did both of these. I made both of these. Sometimes I do a little bit tighter. It depends on the yarn. The yellow yarn is actually a little bit thicker than the white yarn. A little bit stiffer too. So lesson learned. Please don't compare yourself. You've done great. Make sure you take a picture and send it to me and tell me how you liked it. Leave me a comment. Tell me what I missed out. If there's anything confusing, please ask me questions. But mainly, I want to hear about your successes. I want you to send me videos. I want you to tag me in your creations. I'm honestly kind of hoping that I have created a crochet monster and that we can be crochet monster friends together. So reach out to me. Be my friend. And happy crocheting!